Hello guys, it's been quite a while and I've had a lot of time to think about what I want to do with this channel, and one of the first things I've thought about is I'm going to rebrand it. I'm not going to just call myself Daniel Boyd 1000 or 100 or whatever the hell it is here. We're going to call our channel the Geek Speaks from here on out, and I'm going to make it a bit more episodic. We're going to talk about many things through the world of geekery and love and things like that, so we're going to try to have a little bit more variety, no more of having just DVD and Blu-ray collection updates and things like that. I actually kind of got bored to talk about all that all the time, so I decided, you know what, we're going to try to upgrade this channel a little bit, talk about all the things that are going on in the world of geek, and hopefully we'll have some more exciting changes coming. I've talked to a friend about maybe having a podcast. I'll try to do that sometime in the near future, hopefully. I'm going to slowly upgrade a few things though, because right now I'm using a cell phone camera, which doesn't look too bad honestly, but I do kind of want better equipment as time goes along. I want to get a better microphone. I may have to upgrade and get a new computer at some point, because mine has decided it only wants to stay on and active for about 10 minutes at a time, which is going to make making YouTube videos a really bothersome process for a little while, other than just uploading from my phone. So we're going to see how this goes, but anyways, we're going to go to the get to the meat and potatoes of this video and talk to you a little bit about a little comic book series that came out a couple of weeks ago. I have had time to read it a couple of times, and I wanted to do a little bit differently than most reviews have, but this will be my Star Wars #1 by Marvel review. But in addition, we're going to talk about Star Wars #1, which came out about 2 years ago by Dark Horse review, and together with it, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each one of these. We're going to talk about the story and things like that. But here we go. Excuse me. First of all, we're going to talk about Marvel's Star Wars #1, the first million-selling comic book in over 20 years, folks. This is a big deal. Comics have not sold anywhere roughly close to 1 million in over 20 years. And the market bust 20 years ago. Fans and readers just left in droves. They couldn't take it anymore. The comic market just couldn't handle the amount of spectators and things that were coming through. They thought this bubble would never bust, but if you look at the housing market about 6 or 7 years ago, you'll see that was not the case. Things just cannot sustainably continue to build up like that and not have without some kind of risk. I mean, a lot of people jumped into comics that weren't really fans. They thought they were investments, so honestly, it just killed over. I think what's different this time, though, about this whole situation is that a lot of what's going on right now in the comic market is we have a lot more geeks in the world today. There's a whole generation that's grew up watching Marvel movies and growing up in love with the Star Wars trilogy and Star Wars prequels even, which we won't get into that today because I have another video in mind for the Star Wars prequels. I'm actually going to do a series here on the Geek Speaks about the Star Wars prequels and talk about the pros and cons of them. But anyways, that's just that kind of thing. Lord of the Rings, you know, Harry Potter, all this stuff. It started to coalesce, and there's fans and stuff being born. There's a group of fans that weren't around when I was in my infancy stage of geekery that were not even a glimmer in their parents' eye at that point, and now they're grown up in their late teens, early 20s, and they're loving comics. They're loving all these superhero movies, fantasy, science fiction, all this stuff. It's just a wonderful time to be a geek, obviously. But once again, we're going to get to talking about this because I've gone off on a tangent here about the comic industry and how geeks have kind of taken over the world. But we're going to start, first of all, with Marvel Star Wars #1 and with Dark Horse Star Wars #1. We're going to talk about the story of each one of these. Now, in Marvel's story, the Rebel Alliance has just defeated the Death Star, and they're on the offensive. And I actually really do like this. It is very interesting to watch. But in the Dark Horse issue number 1, they actually are on the run. The Empire struck back almost immediately. For some reason, I just like that idea a little bit better. I would feel like the Empire was still very strong, and they would just strike back immediately and run the rebels into hiding. I just kind of like that a lot. That's just personally the better story for me and my own personal opinion. But that does not mean this is not a good story in this issue. Jason Aaron does an awesome job here. You really get the feel that these characters are the characters from the movie, and just everybody just feels and looks like they're supposed to in this. I would definitely recommend it. It is very well written, but just as far as the story goes, I like the Star Wars number 1 from the from Dark Horse a little bit better, just because of the overarching story. Just feels a little bit more like what I would think. I mean, that's just my perspective, but it's just kind of how I feel. Secondly, we're going to talk about the arts. No questions about it, this one wins. This is a solid 10 performance, 10 out of 10 performance art-wise here for Marvel. John Cassaday is just amazing artist here. He makes everybody look just like they did from the movies. You look at this character, that looks like Chewbacca, that looks like Luke Skywalker, that looks like Leia, that looks like Han Solo. I mean, it's just, you get that immediate visceral reaction to see them, and you know that that's the characters they are. Another thing about this is just how it's paced, just the way the art looks. I mean, I'm just going to put it to a page. I'm not going to show the whole comic, Marvel. Please do not sue me for this. But, just look at that. This is much more cinematic feel to the entire thing, really. I like that. It's a better looking artwork, in my opinion. Everything just looks and feels so much better. With the Dark Horse comics, it's not bad artwork at all, honestly. It would have worked. This artist would be great for something like Old Republic or something like that, where you don't have to rely so heavily on likenesses and things. But I do believe the artist's name is Carlos de Anda. He is actually very good, very detailed. Look how detailed that is. But it's just not. I mean, you can say, hey, that looks kind of like Luke there, but, you know, that looks kind of like Leia there, but it's just, you know, you don't get that immediate visceral reaction. Oh, yeah, man, that looks like Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker, you know, that looks like Harrison Ford, you know, as Han Solo. I mean, you just do not get that from this. And I think that is something that Marvel just knocked it out of the park on with that, honestly. Honestly, I mean, just, that's just kind of what I'm feeling of this one right now, but the reality is they're both great. They were both great comics. Marvel's, I'm very interested to see where it goes from here, especially since this counts now. This is part of Marvel's this is part of the Star Wars continuity, so anything that happens in the movies, this counts towards that. Any show, anything like that, this counts now. It's pretty awesome, because as much as a snake's den as this is to walk into, I got the feeling sometimes when I would read older Star Wars comics and novels and such that I was reading something that didn't really count as much in George Lucas's mind, and now that they put a story team together and said, hey, yeah, this does count, every bit of it counts now, so I'm really glad they've done that. It makes everything so much easier on your brain just to sit and think about it. You don't have to stop and go, well, will this last that long if George decides to change his mind? I guess so. Sometimes it's a little harrowing if you're reading something and it just doesn't count, you know, because, hey, George changed his mind, you know, that doesn't count anymore. It's happened a lot. Just watch the Clone Wars series, or read Splinters of Mind's Eye, or the Thrawn trilogy. Thrawn trilogy got really... One of the big points in the Thrawn trilogy was upended like about 12, 13 years ago when Attack of the Clones came out. So, yeah, there's, yeah. For fans that said that they were very tightly connected, no. There was some pretty big things there, but, you know, that was just my review. I would give this a solid 9. I would give this a solid 8.5. I think that both series are pretty well done. Just the combination of story and art makes this a better package overall than this. the story here is really strong, but the art kind of lessens it a little bit. But still, at the same time, it's kind of one of those things, you know, I kind of like where Dark Horse was going with that a little bit better. I felt like that was a bit more realistic, that the Empire with all their resources was struck out at the Rebellion a little bit quicker, especially when they destroyed their ultimate weapon, you know. That's just my opinion, though. But anyways, I'm going to cut this off here, and hopefully we're going to have some more videos. I might have another one up today before my girlfriend gets off work, and hopefully this will be a more regular thing. Maybe once or twice a week I'll have some more videos up here. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot.